It's Revenge of the 5th, or Cinco de Mayo, whichever you decide. We're celebrating the launch of Midnight's Edge Español, and is Brie Larson being phased out? We'll find out this morning on Midnight's Edge in the morning. Good morning, kids. How you doing?
Wow.
It's not me.
Yeah, wrong show. And we do have a spectacular show for you today because, as Tom mentioned, today is Cinco de Mayo. So we have something very special planned for you today. First, we're going to be talking about all the latest pop culture news. And that's quite a bit of Marvel and Star Wars. That's kind of what's dominating, isn't it? And then in 1 hour, we have the very talented actor Jesse Borrego joining us. And then later on, we have Nina Diaz, another extremely talented performer in her own right that will coming to join us. And of course, Paulie will also be joining later on, as you see is here in the chat. Quite a show for today. So, gentlemen, how are you? Rob?
I'm doing the best I can, as I always say, with what little I got. So Cinco de Mayo, today is actually the 5th. May the 5th be with you. And I always circulate a picture of Scotty holding a bottle of scotch.
Revenge of the 5th.
Yes, Revenge of the 5th. Well, anyway. All right. Way to drag that one through the mud. Anyway, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, because you stole my intro anyway.
Today is actually, ironically enough, though, today is my niece's birthday.
Well, happy birthday to Rob's niece.
And she always said when she was much younger, why does everyone say I'll like my birthday more when I get to college? I said, trust me, you will. Just trust me on that one.
And also, I saw that John in the chat also had birthday today. So happy birthday, John. Yeah. Speaking of the chat, we have quite a few people joining us today. I see some regular faces. D. Bud Martin is here, and he says, "Hail, chat." Natasha is here, which is awesome. Our Wrench is here. And we also have Prince Andrew is here. Fear is the Mind Killer, which is such an awesome name, is here. Billy D. Is here, and Mags is here. So really, really cool. You appreciate every single one of you that have come to join us. Sander Hammerstag is here, and we have a couple of super chats to start us out with today already. And let's begin with some of those that we can get up on screen right away. Roger H sent us a super sticker, so thank you so much for that. And Spider Unlimited says, "Hey all," hi all. Thanks, Mead, for the show last night. Had me cracking up. IH forever. I think he's referring to the Midnight's Edge After Dark show, which of course was very fun. Yeah. And then we also have House Atreides, who this is a two-parter. House Atreides says, "Hail Midnight's Edge, happy Cinco de Mayo day. Here's another throwback. Do you remember Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives, 1989? I have never heard of that. Guys, do you remember that?
I remember it.
Eddie and the Cruisers 2, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
A dozen years since I've seen more than that since I've seen
God,
it. I do have it on Blu-ray with the first one, but I've just not watched it.
Oh my God, that's a long ass time ago. Really, it's been 30 years, 31 years. Holy cow!
It's pretty scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
And on that note, House Atreides also says, "I like the sequel better than the 1983 original. Great rock and roll movie. Damn, the 80s was a great decade for pop culture." Yeah, so much of the pop culture today can be traced back to the 80s. So that is a very, very good point. And then we have Nikki D, who says, "Hail Midnight's Edge crew. I seriously doubt Brie will be phased out of the MCU. Isn't she still on a multi-movie deal with Marvel?" So yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. First, I have to welcome Alejandro Montoya Marin, our guest from Monday, as a new member. So that's awesome. Welcome, Alejandro. Great to have you as a member. And then Stephen Otten says, "Greetings, Midnight's Edge guest wrenches and midnighters. I'm on the road again. Happy Revenge of the 5th." Oh yeah, that's
On the road
actually
again.
a cool way to put it. And of course, happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone of Mexicano heritage. And we also had a couple of super chats from before I can get to on screen right now, but I can get to them here behind the scenes. Mags sent us a hot super sticker, so thank you so much for that. And HyperGyver2 said, "When will people learn that Feige has sacrificed the MCU on the altar of wokeness? We need to just move on. Marvel clearly doesn't want our money," which I think is an opinion that many seem to have after his most recent comments as pertaining to Doctor Strange. We'll get into that in 1 second here. Before that, the Jack of all casuals said, "So who brought the Corona beers? Come on, guys, we can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo without them. Morning, guys, and happy Cinco de Mayo." Yes, indeed. But let's get back to the Marvel things. Gentlemen, did you hear the comments that were making the rounds in conjunction with WandaVision, where Kevin Feige basically explained why there wasn't a Doctor Strange cameo? Did you hear this? Rob, you're muted.
Yes, yes, I am muted. Dang it. I'm still, Andre, come on. I'm still looking at my phone and say, wow, there's a clock in it. So, repeat the question, please.
Yeah. Okay. No,
Okay. I'll answer the question to repeat it with it.
Yeah.
As far as what he's saying, I never finished watching it, so I didn't see the actual ending. And I know people have talked about it left and right.
You're better off for not having seen it all.
Yeah, and the whole idea, I wonder if maybe they had no idea what was going on the other side in that whole Luke Skywalker level cameo was meant to be that, and Elizabeth Olsen had no idea that that shit never got filmed, perhaps. Because the way these things are done, it's very possible. And on the other side of it, I see it as a situation where it's like no big deal on not having him in there. The part that's a big deal is when Kevin put it the way he did. And I feel like it was structured in a way, because Kevin's not stupid. I think it's structured more in a way that he's saying it for the media. But again, the more and more faith I put in him, the less I feel like it's being put in the right place the farther we get closer through all this stuff. So I don't know. Just like another one bites the dust. What else am I supposed to say?
Well, it's for the media. It's
because the comment was basically that what Kevin Feige said was that the reason they didn't include a Doctor Strange cameo towards the end of WandaVision was that if they had done that, it would take away attention from Wanda herself. But the real sticker is that they would have. It would have been another white man coming to show her how to do magic. So like white mansplaining. Now he didn't use that exact term, but that was what many took from his statement, that it could be interpreted as like, we can't have a white man come in and tell her how to do magic.
Well,
actually, I think he used the term mansplaining.
white guy come in to mansplain how to.
I think that's what he said, and I think that's the point of contention.
Well, do we have the? Can we find the quote?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, but yeah, hey, Kevin Feige, you're barking up the fucking wrong part, man. I'm letting the F words fly now. You're barking up the wrong tree here, bud. Come on. The people you're trying to appeal to are not going to watch WandaVision. They're not going to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're not going to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Okay? Just get it out of your head. It's the same people that say, I don't watch Star Trek, but this is the greatest Star Trek series of all time. Referring to Discovery. Like, how do you fucking know then? And this whole and you know what? I'm banging my head against the fucking wall again about this. This is the same reason why they haven't gotten a Nova movie off the ground yet, is because they're trying to figure out a way to get around having another white guy as a superhero in the Marvel universe. Well, they can't have Richard Rider. No, they got to wedge Sam Alexander in there. Go ahead, Sam.
No, well, we did talk about this a little bit last night, Rob, but the quote is, some people might say, oh, it would have been so cool to see Doctor Strange, but it would have taken away from Wanda, which is what we didn't want to do. We didn't want the end of the show to be commoditized, to go to the next movie. Here's the white guy. Let's show you how your power works. No, he didn't use mansplaining. I apologize.
Well, he might as well have, though.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that he didn't use that particular term. But of course, it comes across that way.
Yeah, but see, to me, the way he's saying it here, it almost feels like he's just saying it because he knows that's what they want to hear.
Well, yeah,
that's where it comes across to me as well, that this is something that he's like, okay, I know that to use a Spanish term in honor of today being Cinco de Mayo, the vocosos out there, all the woke people, the vocosos, they are out there. They're coming through every single statement. They're like, yes, one of us, one of us, good and well. So I think that he has to say those things. Whether or not he really means it, that I don't know. But I think that this is a statement that probably is more about not incurring the wrath of a certain crowd. It's my reading of it. But that's just my reading. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
No, that's all I was going to say was yeah.
Well, there's a song by the Ramones called Pinhead that starts out "Gabba Gabba, we accept you, one of us." That's what he's looking for. He's looking for acceptance from the woke press. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure all the sites, Twitter and everybody on Twitter, all the blue check marks and the Inverses of the world and the Mary Sues are creaming themselves. Oh, Kevin Feige said he didn't want a white guy. We're so proud of him. And he said, one of us, you know, Gabba Gabba, we accept you, one of us. I'm like, well, they're not going to accept you, Kevin. These people are going to turn on you like a bunch of rabid dogs who smell meat, who smell raw meat, the first chance they get. It's true. I mean, it's true. Like, yeah, listen, this show could have only benefited from Doctor Strange showing up. It could have only benefited. Oh, cool. Doctor Strange is here. Finally. Yeah. You know, how awesome would have that been? Doctor Strange shows up. Like, yeah, Doctor Strange. Fuck yeah.
I will say that I was immensely disappointed by him not being there. And also, I disagree with what Kevin Feige said about if he had been there, he would have taken attention away from Wanda. That's bullcrap. I mean, look at Ant-Man, the very first Ant-Man movie. Who was there to take your attention away from him? Falcon. In The Incredible Hulk.
I'll give you a better one.
The first one in 2008. Who showed up? Iron Man showed up in the end.
I was just going to say,
was there.
A better one yet is Iron Man is in Spider-Man Homecoming. How much?
You might as well call it Iron Man Homecoming.
Really? Well, I mean, the biggest points of contentions. Like, yeah, right there. That's what most people call that movie, or called it Iron Boy, because, yeah, and even though I argue he's not in the movie as much as people say he is, he's still in there more than normal cameos, for sure.
But you know what? It makes sense for Iron Man to be in that movie because...
Does it? Some of it, yes.
Well, yeah, but here's my bone of contention. When you call him Iron Boy, kids that age, especially boys that age, need a father figure. They really do. And growing up without Uncle Ben, I'm like, you see, he needs someone to sort of guide him. Yeah, okay, granted, I'll give you that the costume was made by Tony Stark, had all Tony Stark's tech and everything. But then he had to go prove himself without the costume. That was the other part of that. He had to prove. But Tony Stark is actually physically, something happened to you. I could never live with myself. And what was his first words after he was brought back to the Avengers compound? What was one of the first things he said?
I lost the kid.
I lost the kid.
Well, in the end, though, we found out that Avi Arad was the one who pushed more for Iron Man be the main.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the bigger problem with Iron Man, but at the same time, I'm like, listen, the whole hero's journey is predicated on the mentor-student dynamic, and if there's nothing wrong with Doctor Strange showing up and saying, "Hey, Wanda, listen, you need to learn control, okay? I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. There's no one. There's who better than the Sorcerer Supreme to say to her, you have power, but you can't control it." Yeah. Oh, well, he's a white guy. I'm like, so what? So what? Listen, the mentor figure in Captain America: First Avenger was who, Tom? The Steve Rogers. Who was the mentor figure? Who was the mentor figure?
Between the Doctor and Tommy Lee Jones, kind of, and Bucky more so in the beginning.
Actually, it was Peggy Carter.
Well, that's true, I suppose, I guess.
The Doctor, Dr. Erskine was initially, but somebody had to step up and fill that role for Steve Rogers. So it was Peggy Carter. She was the one that told Steve what was, you have to use your judgment here, Steve. You can't just rush into things. You have to be measured, and I'm going to help you do it. So listen, I know there's this thing in Western storytelling now. The hero's journey, that's a construct of the patriarchy. No, fuck you. There's a reason why it's worked for thousands of years. It's because it works. It's relatable. People need that guiding light in their lives. It could be anybody. It could be a father. It could be an uncle. It could be Doctor Strange. Could be anyone. Anyone. And Strange was, yes, thank you, Natasha. Strange was taught by a woman, at least in the films. They set it up so that the ancient one was a Celtic woman, not Tibetan monk. It was in the comics. Well, that was for China, but still.
Yeah, of course, because China wouldn't have appreciated that one bit. So yeah,
and those bastards had to shrink me down.
You have to remember who the real power is here.
Yeah, and those bastards had to shrink me down on the Phantom Menace posters. The Chinese.
Yeah, Keely Chow. Trust me, we know here well enough that Avi Arad is like one of the OG villains in the Marvel. Like, he's old school, and I think his last hurrah was Far From Home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the bigger problems I had with the Daredevil movie, is that Stick wasn't there to teach Matt Murdock, listen, just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're helpless. Watch, I'm blind. I'm going to show you how to overcome that. That was the other thing. That was one of the big problems. Oh, well, and I heard Mark Steven John said, well, there have been too many characters, yada, yada, yada. Like, no, you needed that. You needed that character to counterbalance Matt Murdock.
And actually, speaking of counterbalancing, he what is that, talking out the side of your mouth, or what is the term? Is that it?
Speak with a forked tongue.
Say one thing, mean another, whatever.
Yeah, talk out.
Because that's kind of what I feel like here is like, what was something that, I mean, what was it, 2 years ago now, a year ago now, where right after Captain Marvel dropped, there was the whole like, because remember everybody was talking about how she was the bestest ever in the Marvel universe. Nobody was stronger. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of scuttled away. And then all of a sudden, no, Wanda's actually the strongest.
With the Captain Marvel, with the superpower of standing up. That was a hero's journey. Well, she stood up.
And I pointed out a few times, I don't know if Andre remembers because it's probably been more on other shows and stuff, but I've pointed out a few times where I don't feel like Brie Larson was really long for this series anyway. They started her out at such a high level that by a second or third appearance, she is going to cost them so much. And that was one of the things they were already griping about to begin with the Avenger films. And that's where I think Kevin Feige's like, oh yeah, we can recast these people. They're just like James Bond. Nobody's bigger than the character kind of thing, which I can't argue with. But, once Brie Larson she's going to get probably like $15 million or more, $20 million for the second film, I bet.
Well, but the other thing too is they were banking. Kevin Feige was going through this thing where he wanted Oscar winners. He wanted to legitimize these movies. Benedict Cumberbatch, Oscar nominated for what was it? The Imitation Game. I think it was.
Well,
yeah, that was the one.
I don't know if it's so much the Oscar winners as she's trying to recapture. I think he's trying to recapture Tony Stark.
Well,
because Robert Downey Jr. was like a flash in the pan, like because all the other people besides Samuel Jackson that he's really casted have not been A-list actors. Mark Ruffalo, meh.
Well, but that's one thing how you overcome a weak movie, and
well, that's what I'm saying. Casting, Captain Marvel is the first time I remember him casting somebody who's like supposedly an A-list actor, Oscar winner. She's costing him $5 million out the fucking gate.
Well, we're realizing now that Brie Larson is a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie of the week level actress. That's what she is. Okay, let's not mince words here. She is fucking terrible. She is a fucking terrible actress. She belongs in insurance commercials. Okay, and I'm not going to apologize for that because I'm not.
No, I've watched her Oscar-winning performance, and I'll tell you right now, the only reason she won that Oscar is because of that kid. That kid acts circles around her ass and makes her a better actress. Because I've seen her in other shit, and she is just as stoic and just as like she does the same shit in that movie that she does in anything else.
Yeah, get used to those car commercials, Brie, because that's what you're going to be doing from now on.
Well, remember that Hollywood isn't a business of how good you are, but who you know and how good a politician you are. And Brie Larson evidently has the right kind of management and is connected with the right kind of people to be getting these roles in the first place. I will say, though, I thought that she was pretty okay in Kong Skull Island. Maybe that's just me, but I thought
she's not the star.
There.
She was, she was
that's
good.
The thing.
She was good in Basmati Blues, which was accidentally hysterical. It really was.
The thing is Kong wasn't reliant upon her. Right? You could have had anybody in that role. It did not fucking matter. She gets 12 lines throughout the entire film. She has very little character development. None of the characters have a shit ton of character development in that film, and that's fine because they're there for fodder. They're there just for Kong to kill or to protect. That's all they're really there for. She serves that purpose just fine.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim
into the room. But yeah, sorry, Robert, you continue. Yeah,
someone bring up Scott Pilgrim though, and she was in actually a couple episodes of Community as Abed's girlfriend, where she wasn't bad. When she's not the main focus, she can be serviceable. But something happened to her when she got her nose job, when she got her breast job.
Yeah, because she was fine in 21 Jump Street as well.
Yeah,
she was not annoying in that.
I don't know. I can't put my finger. Is this a marketing thing? Did someone get a hold of her and says, Brie, you're going to want to really lean into this woke shit. You really are. And then, because that's a couple years ago, this started when the whole thing about the airport and the TSA agent.
Yeah, there's that. But the thing is with 21 Jump Street, the most unbelievable thing is she's never going to sleep with Jonah Hill.
Well, that's Seth Rogen syndrome. Yeah, that's the Seth Rogen syndrome.
Yeah.
But to get into the rumor at hand, this actually comes from Pirates and Princesses.
And to go back to what I was saying was, I'm not surprised by this. I kind of pointed this out, like I said, almost a year or more ago. Like when I said she's so high paid, I don't see them keeping her around. And what else did I say, guys? They're going to shove all the other Captain Marvels into her movie.
Yeah, because nobody likes her. Nobody likes her.
But to get into the rumor, which we actually haven't told the audience, this is the point I'm trying to get to. The rumor to everyone that's listening and that can't watch on screen. The rumor that
we've said about 12
Thomas,
times,
of course, is right about is that this is coming from Pirates and Princesses, where basically they have heard that Carol Danvers just might be in the process of being phased out of the MCU, and then in the process, then Brie Larson would be replaced by Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. Plus, you probably have Miss Marvel, or whatever the hell her name is. Hence, the movie is called Marvels and not Captain Marvel 2. That's the gist of the rumor for those that are not watching on screen. And yes, Tom, you really did predict this by pointing out that Brie Larson was so expensive compared to all the other cast, because this is one of the cases where the female cast member, relative to where they started out, was paid much, much more than any male co-star.
Yeah, and there was other factors too, considering the show took place in the past, which I know was necessitated by the story or whatever to a point. But also it was like, okay, you're not going to have this person around for very long. And yeah, she also had multiple appearances. Well, guess what? She's already made a couple. And I don't know how many it was for. Maybe it was for 3 or 5. That's generally what these go for. And sometimes they make them for like a lot of movies, but that doesn't mean they're going to use them. Like I'm sure fucking Edward Norton had probably a 5-picture deal in his contract too. That didn't go very far.
Joaquin Phoenix was the first choice to be Doctor Strange, but he only wanted to do one movie.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah. But for those who want to know who the other Captain Marvel is that we're talking about, I got a picture here. If I can bring it up.
There's been 8 Captain Marvels in the Marvel Universe.
There's Miss Marvel.
Oh, for God's sake. It's already discounted?
Yes. I saw that yesterday and I took a picture.
That's not Miss Marvel. That's not Ms. Marvel. That's Sana Amanat. That's her own self-insert.
Yeah, that's the self-insert of all self-inserts right there. That's the image of the creator, and was also a producer on like that Avengers game in which none of the Avengers looked like the Avengers that we can know and love, and the lead among them was suddenly Miss Marvel for some reason. There was a reason for that, and that game didn't do very well, and I wonder why.
I am so glad I did not buy that game. I was really contemplating, but then I saw it was like everything else. It's a gigantic bait and switch. You sold us on the Avengers, and we got a Ms. Marvel game. Who the fuck cares? Seriously.
Not too many would care about that. But we have a couple of super chats to go through, and I want to go through the super chats, and we're going to have Polly on any moment here before the guest starts arriving. But to get into the super chats, Butt Crack Media, awesome name, sent us an awesome poop super sticker, so thanks for that.
Or as Christy calls it, a pooper sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Or as I would call it, an Amber Heard selfie. But,
Amber Heard special. There you go.
See, Andre's learning. He's learning.
And Dash D's says, "Oh, come on, you guys, Brie Larson today and Star Wars Monday. Hard to care about this dumb shit anymore." Well, stay tuned then, because we have something really, really cool coming up as we get into the Cinco de Mayo part of the program.
Absolutely.
And Chris Webb says, "I happen to have a brother named Kevin. Best Kevin ever." Oh, well, awesome. So kudos to Kevin Webb.
I have a best friend, Kevin, actually, who's been my best friend for like over nearly 40 years.
There was a Kevin who was the start of this channel.
Yeah, exactly. So many Kevins around. There wouldn't be a Midnight's Edge without one Kevin.
Which is funny because I don't think we had one Kevin in my class growing up.
And then Valiant Renegade says, "MCU making the Star Wars mistake that Star Wars now tries to fix. Believing the IP is now financially indestructible, so they can do anything and it won't matter." Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and I think they're going to learn the very hard way that it doesn't quite work like that. And Dash Attack says, "For $20, thank you so much. I want to believe the Gina rumors so badly. There are signs relations are healing, but also that she's still being persecuted by Disney. See Drunk's latest video. Going to watch BB on another account. No money for the mouse." Yeah, like again, this only goes to show that the factions within not just Lucasfilm but Disney, since the most recent thing is that the Bear Grylls episode that's being reinstated, well, on Disney Plus, it doesn't actually say who's in it. So yeah, that's a nice little passive-aggressive twist going on there.
Yeah.
And Dash D's says, not to change the subject, but changing the subject. My brother was born in a Pinto. Okay, when my life is more interesting than Marvel, that's just sad.
I think Dash Dees is trying to tell us something.
He's trying to board in a Ford Pinto. He's lucky to be alive.
Well, it was his brother, to be clear, but
Yeah, it was his brother.
Well, I guess it's still no, it's not Kevin. That was Chris Webb who had the brother named Kevin. But yeah, well, maybe Dash Deese's brother is named Kevin too. How awesome would that be? And then Hyper Guyver 2 says the MCU is dead until the X-Men arrive. And even then, they are most likely going to do Dark Phoenix again, and then stupid crap like the Hellfire Gala. Yeah, that's assuming they'll even be allowed to call the X-Men. Like the going rumor is that they'll be called the Mutants, because naming them the X-Men is problematic.
I was surprised when they released all those new versions of the X-Men that they actually had one of them called X-Men, because the rest are X-Force and all that other stuff.
Yeah. And then we have Meredith G, who says for $10, thank you so much, Meredith. The business model of the MCU has always leaned heavily on having the movies interconnected, and that was supposed to bring people to the Disney Plus shows. To pander, Feige abandons the model that worked. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And then Dash D's says for 20 Canadian dollars, serious for a moment. Do you guys think Alan Shore in Boston Legal was a good example of really high-level combination of a well-written character cast properly in a well-created environment? Just as contrast new content. I have never seen Boston Legal, so I wouldn't know. Did you guys see Boston Legal? And if you did, is Alan Shore awesome, basically?
Boston Legal, I only saw it a few times. That's actually pretty good. My parents used to watch it a lot.
That was the one with William Shatner, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, William Shatner. Yes. One of my best roles ever. So what do you want to make of that, Andre?
Yeah, well, I still never saw it.
I saw a couple episodes here and there, and it looked like fun. I just never really got into it. Yeah.
And it has to be one hell of a procedural before I get into it myself. And then Alex Acerra says, so Rogue won't put her in a coma? Still more Monica Rambeau. Woohoo! So yeah, I'm all in favor of them going with Monica Rambeau or someone that has personality. And I think that with the first Captain Marvel, like everything went wrong. You had the wrong lead and you had the wrong directors that weren't able to get the kind of performance that we know that we actually can do. Like I've never, very rarely see a lead actress be as bad in a movie as in that one. So yeah, Monica Rambeau all the way. And Slade Wilson says, are they going to Me Too Rogue? In her early days, when she stole powers from a man, she would often force a kiss on them without consent. Oh, no, Slade, you got it wrong. Like, the Me Too doesn't work that way. That's empowering. It's like that door swings one way only.
Women can dolphin love all they want. It's men that can't. That's
exactly. Like, seriously, this thing about equality, that's a thing of the past. Like, no one wants that anymore.
We're not going to. Yeah. One thing we won't see is that flirtation with Gambit and Rogue. Yeah, with Gambit, how about a little kiss? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's problematic.
That's problematic.
He'd be Me Too'd in a heartbeat.
There was a comic actually where the X-Men were. I don't remember which issue, but they were restrained, and somehow, and who you call it? Nightcrawler knew that Rogue was the best chance of them getting out. So he goes over, he leans over, gives her a big kiss on the cheek, and then she gets his teleportation powers, and then she frees them all. But that would be seen as problematic these days.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like you get this right, people. Like the door swings one way only. So no, Rogue is not about to be me too'd for anything, no matter what she does. And then we have the last millennial who says, Tom, what are the chances Marvel announcing more movies this year, considering how backed up the line is? P.S. Andre and Rob, thanks for making me laugh. Oh, we're happy to. Tom, the main question.
Yeah.
What's the chances of Marvel announcing more movies this year?
None.
Yeah, I gotta say very slim. And we're not going to get a Silver Surfer movie announcement, until we see the Fantastic Four.
Well, I brought this up last night, and I think one of the reasons, besides being just embarrassed by the Eternals, is I think it was one of those movies that was kind of caught in the crossfire of when they bought Fox and what they were actually going to do, and then James Gunn getting fired before that and putting the whole cosmic side of things into a tizzy. I think at this point, Kevin Feige's just trying to reestablish his footing. As far as the MCU aspects of it, I don't know anymore. But no, they're not going to announce anything more. They've got 4 movies coming out this year. They've got 4 or 5 coming out in the year after that, and then another 4 or 5 the year after that. And we've got a couple series in the meantime. This is the most busy Marvel's ever been. And as far as I know from the more recent deal, I think they're a little bit more hands-on with Spider-Man as well. So,
yeah, but at the same time, it's all crap that really nobody wants.
That's for certain. Because
of
course, well, here's like the thing. I'm sure there's some people out there that are excited for the Eternals and stuff like that. So let's not poo-poo what they want, although they clearly represent the minority. I think that most people, the majority, probably aren't excited about anything until Doctor Strange. That's just my general reading of the situation, and everything until then is like just a holding pattern.
Everything is going to go. I got a feeling. Listen, the Eternals. I keep saying this. I predicted the Eternals 5 years ago, and damn it, I really, if it's going to be this bad, I didn't want to be right. But the Eternals was one of those things where they were still looking for their ersatz X-Men. They thought it was going to be the Inhumans. Now, the Inhumans could be a really good movie if they were based on, as I get the comic, the trade paperback out of my library, the Inhumans could be really good if they base it on this, on the Jay Lee, Paul Jenkins Inhumans. This could have been a really good fucking movie. But you need Namor and you need the Fantastic Four, and you could probably fudge that with the Avengers, though. Yeah. But still,
and you know who you don't need?
Who?
Because I can tell you, Scott Buck.
No, you don't. Absolutely. But at the same time, I'm like, but they want to jump ahead to the all new, all different, all canceled Marvel. That's the big problem. That's the big problem here. And this show, but the other problem is, who's up front? Black Bolt. Oh, patriarchal society. Oh, we can't have that anymore. If I sound real condescending, it's because I am being condescending.
Welcome, Paulie.
Yeah, greetings, Paulie. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo, and yeah, we're here.
Yes, we are, and the festivities will begin very, very shortly. And I see you're back again in LA. How was your trip?
Oh man!
To those that don't know, you were on a trip, weren't you, Paulie?
Yeah. We were helping a Mexican Ironman pack, and he was up north, Northern California. So we helped him with that first leg, and then he drove me down back to my house, and then he's on the road to South Carolina. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, we had a good time, man. We had a good time.
Awesome. Would have loved to join you for that road trip.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. And we finished. We hung out here at the house, and then we finished with a lightsaber duel, as the sun was going down my front yard. And I really suck at the lightsabers, and that video is up on my page. Mike kicked my ass.
Yeah, and speaking of videos, we have some more videos up somewhere else, don't we, Polly?
Yeah, slowly yet surely, Midnight's Edge Español is a real thing, and it is a growing baby every day. We have about I'd say 4 or 5 videos maybe up. We just put up the live stream that we did yesterday. We put that up on the channel.
Yeah, and next time the live stream should, with any luck, be on Midnight's Edge Español proper.
Right.
So look for those. Plus, of course, plenty more content to come over there. So if you haven't done so already, then head on over to Midnight's Edge Español. The link is in the description of this video. Plus, it's featured on the channel, so it shouldn't be too difficult to find. It could use your help because, as everyone that's tried to start one knows, it's not so easy to start a YouTube channel and get that early traction. So we do need the help of everyone for that. So head on over to Midnight's Edge Español, perhaps especially if you do speak Spanish or you want to learn Spanish or just curious about upcoming Spanish talent and filmmakers, plus want to hear what regular Midnight's Edge videos sound like in Spanish. Then head on over. Check the videos out, leave a like and leave a comment and subscribe if you think this is something that you want to check out more. It will be well worth your time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even on a support tip, guys, everyone that even if you don't speak a lick of Spanish or a little bit, it is like 70% Spanish right now as far as the live stream. It'd be great to get that initial support right now. This first week, let's get everyone right now in the chat. If you can head on over and do a quick sub, man, we would really appreciate it. And we're gonna have a lot of original content. We have 2 great interviews we put up on some actors, and we got a filmmaker, we got some musicians. So the content is never ending. Tomorrow we're gonna have Mexican film journalist Alfredo Galindo with us, and I cannot wait. I actually get all my Hollywood information, whether it's in English or Spanish, through him. He's pretty on much on the ball. So yeah, that's really it. That's really the pitch. We really want to make a dent early on. Let's crack 1,000 real quick with all you guys, wonderful people that have known and loved Tom and Andre and Rob, who channels his inner Brie Larson.
And Rob, I like how you put it.
Well, I mean, I come on and you're channeling your inner Brie Larson was classic.
You're lucky. You're lucky I'm not channeling my inner Sam Kinison. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Andre, have you seen any Sam Kinison yet?
Not much, but I've seen some. Some.
Okay. Sorry. So you're familiar with. At least you get the reference now.
Yes, I do.
I just figured out how you introduce Rogue, the X-Men, and get rid of Brie Larson in all one fell swoop. You just introduce it. You introduce the X-Men, and Rogue already has her powers. Okay, she just has her powers. Super strength, flight, whatever. End of the movie. You do a post-credit scene. Brie Larson's in a coma in a hospital bed, and they show how's she doing? No change. And they showed security footage on somebody watching security footage on their phone, like she's lucky to be alive, of Rogue sucking her powers away. There you go. That's it. I've taken care of the problem for you. Thank me later, Marvel. I'll tell you what it is. Send the check.
Yes. Everyone in the chat's been asking about my hat. If I can get a single, because my Mexican powers come from this beautiful Panama hat. and some asked if it was expensive, and it's a vintage, so it was a little pricey, around $100. Sombreros. This was actually made in Veracruz. Let's see the embroidery
That's a sharp hat, man.
right there, baby.
Nice. Very
Legitimito.
smooth.
Legitimito. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, as was pointed out here earlier, que suave.
Que suave. Yeah. I mean, and this is where our Cinco de Mayo, our Mexican, Captain Mexico, all that. The power is right here, baby, in the sombrero, and the music, and the culture. So, no, man, we have a huge following. Midnight's Edge, the international, this channel has a huge following in Mexico, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Spain. I mean, it's unreal, the reach that Andre and Tom and Rob have had. I love you, bro.
I know.
Yeah. But the international audience that you guys have that are here with us right now, let's share and let's show the same love for our new channel in Español. So that's the pitch. And we have some beautiful people today. And when I say beautiful, I mean like they're good looking people, but beautifully talented, awesome people that are coming on the show today. From Fame, the TV show Fame, in the movie Blood In, Blood Out, Fear the Walking Dead. Jesse Borrego is going to be here any minute. And musical sensation Nina Diaz is going to sing for us, perform for us in about an hour. So,
wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And Jesse Borrego, which those of you that have seen our Blood In, Blood Out reunion panel, you will know him from there because he was an awesome standout there, as he is an excellent actor. He's been in so many things, not just Blood In, Blood Out, although that is one of his more recognizable roles. He's been in everything from Miami Vice to Married with Children to ER, to so many things. And he's so cool. Like, he's one of the coolest guys I've ever seen. So look forward to having him on any moment now. Until then, we have a couple of more super chats. Unless there was something else you wanted to point out, Polly.
Just real fast in the chat. Ray J. Oldenburg, Tom says, Polly needs another channel. Midnight's Edge, no comprende for gringos. That's Midnight's Edge After Dark. That's that's when I join, or that's when Tom comes over to the Latino slant.
Whereas Alex Ashkin says, Rob will be responsible for Midnight's Edge Italiano.
Yeah.
That would be me, Mario.
But this is awesome. Everyone in the chat, awesome support, Andre. Let's see where we're at. I'll do a sub count in a second, but thanks again, guys.
Yeah. And also, Jorge Burgos Jr. says, I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not excited for MCU Phase 4.
Oof.
I don't know how many people are. And going back to super chats that we can get up on screen, Gaming or What TM says, Hola amigos. Sí, hola a todos. And then it's time for classic super chats, because that is what I can get up on screen, but we can get up a little bit more of the classics. Let's see, the next one we had here is then EVA Unit 4A says, hashtag Revenge of the 5th, hashtag Get Woke, Go Broke, and hashtag Midnight's Edge. And Johnny Ohm says, I miss the days when Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel. She was a likable character back then and didn't have this SJW rep about her. A total babe too. Oh, can't have that now, can we? And then, just refreshing here to see the most recent ones. Then we have Troy Pacelli, who says, Bree out, good. Monica Rambeau, now Captain Marvel. Too little, too late. She should have been Captain Marvel in the first place. Love you guys and all you do. Well, thank you. And then Chris Webb says, may we all agree that every casting director should be greeting people at Walmart. I don't know. There are some good casting directors out there. Like, some do amazing, but it's not everyone, especially not those that are more concerned with the agents and pleasing their agent clients, because that is how the really horrible decisions are made. It's basically when the agents decide between themselves, we're going to do this. The casting directors are often failed or former actors that actually have skills. They just didn't have the connections. And Super Nate says for $10, something really interesting that needs to be looked into. Yo, they really just disrespected Henry Cavill by announcing Black Superman on his birthday. Not even Val Sods or Calvin Ellis, but race-swapped Kal-El. There is no hope for DC. This must be very, very recent. Did they just do that now while we've been live?
Yeah. Someone sent me the Warner Brother, the story. So yeah.
So it's not Calvin Ellis. It is race swapped Kal-El.
Which is what we were hearing, and this is also what we heard that Michael B. Jordan wasn't too happy about.
Yeah, correct.
Because he did not want to be a race-swapped Kal-El. He wanted to be his own character, is what we heard.
Yeah. In other words, he didn't want to be the sloppy seconds, or like be given like this. Oh, here's a
consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. That's exactly the word I was looking for.
Well, we got the story up here, Rob, if you want to grab it. Because we also had the Falcon and Winter Soldier story as well that we haven't got to, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what we...
Rob, you dead?
I think that Rob had to... he had to leave for a moment.
Oh, okay.
So I can get it right here. I'll see you.
While promoting his Amazon Prime film with Tom Clancy's Without Remorse in late April, Michael B. Jordan put a kryptonite pin in any rumors he might suit up as Warner Brothers' next Superman, which is what we had said. I'm flattered that people have me in that conversation, Jordan told Hollywood Reporter. It's definitely a compliment, but I'm just watching on this one. There you go.
I think that's probably really clever of him, because this is going to be a polarizing thing. I can tell you that right away. Because this is you're going to have a certain crowd that's all of this as the most progressive thing in reparations that's ever been, and then there's everyone else. And the everyone else is going to be the larger group.
This kind of goes with what we were hearing. The Superman film appears to be moving on to its own track and won't be a part of the universe as of now. Sources tell THR that Coates is crafting a Kal-El in the vein of the original Superman comics and will have the protagonist hail from Krypton and come to Earth. While the story is currently being crafted and many details could change, one option under consideration is for the film to be a 20th century period piece. Then why race swap him?
Well, of course, I can see why, because this writer, Tanishi Coates, or however you pronounce it, I've never been able to get that right. He is, before he is a writer, he is an activist. This is in everything he says, everything he does is his activism. And the activism basically boils down to white people bad and ideally need to be taken out back, every single one of them. That's kind of like what it boils down to. And if he does like a period piece, of course, it's going to be to bring Superman into a world before you had all of these, before the civil rights movements. So I think that's what it's all about. But that is something that we will be discussing in much, much more detail later on, because now it is time to resume the Cinco de Mayo festivities and introduce our first prolific day of guest of today, someone we have had on here before and that we're very excited to have here again. Welcome to the show, Jesse Borrego.
Happy Cinco, everybody. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I've got my Cinco de Mayo fun facts here. So,
Gracias.
Good morning, brother, or good day. What's happening?
good day. You know how it is. Just celebrating in the middle of celebrating. Had a couple of friends who had birthdays this week. So, including my father. My father's was on May 3rd. So we've been in the middle of celebrations way before Cinco de Mayo, you know. So it's good to just celebrate with you guys. Let's do it right.
Well, it was great having you on that panel, man. That panel was epic, and to have you here live on the show, got over 1,000 people watching.
We had a blast.
This is fantastic, Jesse. This is fantastic.
Some cool fun facts, right? It was some great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome. And to anyone watching who missed it, you will find it on the channel. That's our Blood In, Blood Out reunion panel, and it was one for the ages. Masterfully hosted by Robert Meyer Burnett and everything. So do check that out if you haven't seen it. But Jesse, you, of course, you have been in so many things. Like looking at your IMDb and your career is just amazing. You have some things like Fame. You have so many other things. Miami Vice, CSI, like the list goes on and on. Fear the Walking Dead. Can't you tell us a little bit about how did you get started in the industry? How does one begin such an illustrious career as yours?
Well, you know, the beauty of it is that being a part of the Latino culture, being Mexican American, specifically Chicano, and from South Texas, you know, which has a tradition of music, culture, food, you know, and so I think coming from that type of cultura and coming from a family, my grandmother Olivia was actually from Laredo, the frontera, but you know, relocated to San Antonio, and this is where the culture was, the Mexican American culture. And so traditionally we were raised with music. My father, Jesse Borrego, was an accomplished accordion player. Most of you in Europe recognize Flaco Jimenez, who won Grammys. Okay, well, Flaco and my dad are from the same neighborhood. They're from the south of San Antonio. And I remember quite clearly at 6 years old, because we'd go to my father's tocadas, right, the dances and the shows, very quite clearly seeing him in an accordion playoff with Flaco Jimenez's group and my dad's group, Los Haces de Texas. And as a kid, and then growing up and seeing Flaco winning his Grammys, and you know, every time I would get together with him, Flaco would always tell me, he said, "How's your dad? How's he doing?" He goes, "No, you have to understand, your father was so important to conjunto music, the Tex-Mex style of dance music at that time, which became Tejano, which is where Selena came from." So there's lots of traditions and roots that come from South Texas, specifically San Antonio. So I think all of that kind of, you know, fed into me. And I was telling the story the other day of my audition for Fame actually was an open call. So at that time, Bill Blinn, incredible writer producer, you know, was one of the executive producers of the show, and him and Debbie Allen, who was producing also at that time and starting to direct more and do more with the Fame show, they decided they needed something to revive the show. And so they were going to have this open audition. It was the first American Idol type of audition, and it was open. So basically anybody who could come in off the streets of LA, and it was a very popular show at that time. So from New York to LA, there were auditions, there were people coming in, and there was over, I think, over about 10,000 people auditioned through agents and then through the open calls right off the street. Well, I showed up. I was an acting student at California Institute of the Arts, and I said, "Hey, I sing, I dance. I come from, you know, that culture that does it all." I was a triple threat. So I went over there to MGM Studios, and this little Chicano kid got in front of these producers, Debbie Allen, a lot of these producers, and you know, I did my thing, and they thought I was good enough to audition for a part. And eventually I wound up getting on the show. And that pretty much started my career because I was on the show for 3 years. And the show itself was very popular. So I was an overnight celebrity. But at the same time, I was able to get my feet wet. And the 3 years that I was there, I learned a lot about film. It was like a film school to me. I paid attention. Debbie Allen was starting to direct. So I started asking her questions about directing. I learned about production. So now as a producer, I have all of that knowledge. And it just created something in me with this new kind of medium that I took all of that talent that I had as a performer, as a dancer, as a singer. But it all was also rooted in that cultural root of who I was, and that inspiration. And so it was great that the character himself, Jesse Velasquez, was originally, it turned out that the character in the background story was actually from Mexico. And he was actually undocumented. In one of the episodes of Fame, I had to sing for my green card. Just so you know. So as you see, all of those issues are issues that as a Latino and as a Mexican American, I've had to actually deal with in my community. So to be able to work them out in this kind of artistic way and then show them to a mainstream audience, like the type of audience that Fame had, it kind of spoiled me, because from then on, I was very specific about the things I chose. And that's why you see the hits in my career, because I had to say no a lot of times, because frequently in American cinema and in American television writing, the Latino character is the villain. He's the bad guy. He's the immigrant. He's the victim. And so I fought against playing those types of characters. And I'm sure my friends appreciate it, because I gave them a lot of parts that I didn't want. But at the same time, I think for me, it was important to really service that mission and that vision of making sure that in my career, if people looked at it, they were going to see positive characters. They were going to see complex and very real three-dimensional Latino characters. And we were going to be proud of who we were,
Yeah, very, very good points right there. And your career is awesome. But here's like the thing, that you started out in Fame. That was like your first big break. But many get like that first big break without there necessarily being any more. Many, they get that one thing and then it kind of stops there. But you were able to go from there to bigger and better things. And one of the things that I at least think really helped put you on the map even more was your appearance in the hit show Miami Vice, which was one of the most important shows on TV at the time. How did you end up there?
Well, the beauty of having been on a hit show like Fame, all the casting directors would watch the hit shows to see who the new latest talent was. I was on the show for 3 years. So for 3 years, casting directors got to see me develop, not only as a character, but as an actor. And I think, if I remember correctly, the casting director from Miami Vice was a good friend of Meg Lieberman, the casting director on Fame. And so it was a referral of sorts, because that was shortly after the show had finished. And I wound up working on the show twice. I did 1 year, and then they loved me. And the next year they invited me to come back and play a different character. And so it was fun. And the beauty of that show is they shot it in Miami. So, I got to go to Miami, and I think that there was a Super Bowl happening at that time. And Miami was hot in the 80s. The way it is now, that's kind of the way it was in the 80s, where it was a growing city, very exciting culture. And I remember actually when we did our press junket for Blood In, Blood Out, Miami was one of the best cities that we premiered Blood In, Blood Out at, because the Latino audience is so hungry to be represented. So even though it was a very strong Cuban community, they understood, the analogy with the Chicano community and the experience that we portrayed in Blood In, Blood Out. But I think all of that was, again, 3 years of being on Fame. And you talk about lack of diversity in television, lack of diversity in a lot of the work that's coming out of the industry right now. If you look at Fame and you see that it was ahead of its time, and you were seeing a very diverse group of people, diverse actors, we were being ourselves. We weren't being these stereotypes. And I think that helped me, again, moving forward, because a lot of those casting directors in the following years, Miami Vice, they all remembered that I got started on Fame, and they all remembered the work that I did there. And the character was serious. The writers were great. So the kind of stuff that we had to do on Fame wasn't fluff. It was serious, dramatic stuff. So we got to work out our chops. And I think that helped a lot, because in the following years, like you said, after you do your first gig, they kind of pigeonhole you. And I think on that show, I was able to show a range that casting directors were able to be excited by whenever they'd bring me in. And then, I really believe that Taylor Hackford was a fan of the show, and he recognized me from that. And I actually had come in to audition for La Bamba, because of the nature of the music and all of that. So I think he remembered me from that audition, but I think he remembered me from a lot of the work that I did on Fame. And I know that the casting directors were big fans of the show. So I think that helped out in a lot of the stuff that I did shortly after Fame, and continuing to get me in the room, what they call get me in the room,
Yeah, because that was so awesome. Also, it's like the range of different characters. Because of course you have like Fame, where you got to see the full range of what you can do, which I agree that's like great for casting directors. You have some great dramatic roles in Miami Vice, and then suddenly there's Married with Children, which again is something else entirely.
Again, back to the Fame show. Christina actually, when she started on Married with Children, again, remember, it was a brand new Fox. We didn't know what Fox was. Is it going to make it, right? And there was this new show. And I had met Christina at a couple of celebrity events. And because we were both dancers, we related in a lot of ways. And she was she was serious acting, an actress. So we talked a lot about acting. But we became good friends. And she was a fan of the Fame show, being a dancer. So years later, when the show was done and her show had taken off, right, she calls me out of the blue, and I was like, "Hey, Christina." And she said, listen. And I said, "Congratulations. I mean, the show took off. I remember, a few years ago when you were just getting started on it." And she goes, "Well, this is why I'm calling you. I have to dance on the show." And I went, "Okay." And she said, and I want to dance with you. I said, "Will you come on the show and we can dance together?" And I said, "Well, okay, what's the character?" And she said, "A janitor." And I went, "Christina, I'm a serious actor, and I'm not really trying to do those types of parts, especially in a sitcom, where it's fluff, And she goes, I know. She goes, "I thought of that, but you're a hot janitor, and and I've got a crush on you." And I said, "Okay, I kind of like where this is going." She goes, and I said, "Well, listen," I said, "Who's choreographing it? Because now, as the show's been done, I learned a lot from Debbie, and I'm starting to direct music videos more. I'm starting to choreograph more. What if I choreographed it?" And she said, "Let's do it." So if you look at the credits at the back, talking about a multiplicity of talents. But if you look at the back, I get credit for the choreography for the piece that me and Christina did. So I'm really quite happy that it's so popular, because I get a double mark on that one. And so it was a win-win. She loved me on the show, and we got to do a great piece, and she's a fabulous dancer. She wound up performing with some hit group, I think, for a while as one of the dancers on their squad. But she's a multi-talented performer, and I think it was great to be able to meet her that way, as opposed to just as an actor, but as a dancer, and then also as someone that I choreographed for. So I was quite proud of that work, But again, Fame and the ability to show what I could do on that show. And I give so much praise and honor to Debbie for discovering me, to Bill Blinn, and to all of the producers, Meg Lieberman, the casting director. All those producers that were on that show really helped kick off my career. But again, it kept living on, because though that work kept getting me in the room, so to speak. And that's my Married with Children story,
Yeah, very, very cool. And then we got a super chat from viewer Darth Dainies, who says, "Hey, Jesse, I have the complete set of Miami Vice on DVD. yeah, that's a spectacular series.
A friend of mine made a T-shirt for me after I'd been on it twice, and it said, "I died twice on Miami Vice."
That's pretty awesome.
That's
That's
catchy.
pretty
Yeah,
awesome, right?
Hey,
there.
I died
That's
twice on Miami Vice. Come on, that's a good one.
That is very cool.
I loved it because the second time I was on, again, the casting directors knowing what I could do. You know, the first one was, you know, it was a kind of, they didn't know if the show was going to continue. So they were doing a show that kind of had a suspended ending, right? A cliffhanger. And so the cliffhanger was that it was called A Bullet for Crockett. And in the big chase scene at the beginning of every show, right, with the drug deal gone bad, we have this incredible chase scene through the streets of Miami. Me and this wonderful actress named Lisa Vidal, who's quite popular right now. She's done some great work, but I wound up working with her on a film called I Like It Like That. But Lisa Vidal was just in the Baker and the Beauty and the Baker. That was a very successful show last year. But if you look up Lisa Vidal, she was my girlfriend in The Bullet for Crockett. Well, she winds up, after they kill me in the big shootout scene, she winds up shooting Don Johnson, right? And Don's in the hospital for the rest of the episode. No one knows if he's going to die. And they go flashbacks of the entire run of the season because they didn't know if it was going to continue. Fast forward, the show continued. So the next year, knowing what I could do, the casting directors called me back to play this really complex villain who quoted Shakespeare and quoted all and was dressed like Prince with all of this frill. And I had long hair at that time, my long hair. So it was a very, very strange, eccentric character. But again, knowing my chops as an actor in this character, I had to pull off not only that he was a dangerous villain, but that he quoted Shakespeare and that he dressed like Prince, you know? So it was kind of like somebody had to pull it off, and it had to be me. So again, the ability to show what I could do in other shows, I think that that's what led them to say, hey, we know that Jesse could play this character, you know, why not just bring him back and have him do it, you know? And so I think that's why I hold out. A lot of times people wonder, why do you hold out when you need to work, when you need to pay the bills? And I say, because this is more than a job, you know, it's a responsibility. And I think as an actor, if you look at my roles, did you ever get a chance to see the one I did for TNT? So in 95, if you look up Tecumseh, the Last Warrior.
Yeah, some people in the chat are chatting about that, bro.
In 95, TNT did this series of Native American films, and they were Native American Westerns. You know, that's what I called them, the Native American Westerns. And they were beautiful. They did one on Joseph Bryant. They did one, they even did the Lakota Woman novel. They did that one, a contemporary one. But the one I got to do was Tecumseh, and I didn't realize what an important American historical character he was, but also how he was an advocate for Native American social rights way ahead of the curve, right? And he was a great orator, and a lot of his speeches are remembered verbatim, and they're in our history books. And he wound up becoming commissioned as a British officer in the early war of the 1800s. So he was a very complex character. And here I was offered a chance to do him in television. And, you know, television writing, it fits its purpose. And a lot of it was the way that they think that Native people talk, right? And, you know, at that time, I was really getting back into learning about the Native roots, especially being Chicano and understanding that we have mestizo Native roots and where those Native roots come from. Also getting involved with a group called the Coahuiltecos. The Coahuiltecan nation here in San Antonio trace their roots to the original indigenous families that built the missions. So they're considered the first Tejanos, the first Catholics of Texas, all of this different stuff. But more importantly, recognizing that we have indigenous roots here in Texas and here in America, right, that are crossed over with our Latino roots, especially in the Southwest. So in the middle of all this role came up, and I really wanted to honor it and service it. So I started talking to a lot of different elders and a lot of different people that knew the traditions. And again, trying to pay homage specifically to our Native American culture here in the United States that has traditionally been pushed to the ideas of reservations, the ideas of marginalized, and the ideas that they're extinct, right? And here I am again as an actor, as a performer, as an artist of color, having an opportunity to portray this character. So I was able to take a lot of his speeches, the ones that spoke specifically to, the issues that they were dealing with, and put them into this incredible piece. And again, something that I'm very proud of. If you look at that, I'm proud because a lot of those words are actually Tecumseh's speeches that I was able to put into the dialogue. And thanks again to the producers and to TNT for allowing that to happen. Hane Gigama was the head producer, but also a lot of people don't know that Francis Ford Coppola was the producer of Tecumseh and a lot of those Native American pieces that TNT did in the 90s. So again, a piece that I'm very proud of, but sticking to my guns and saying no to the negative stereotypes allowed me a chance to say yes to the things that I'm proud of,
Yeah, it's very, very cool when it works out that way, when you can do that in a professional capacity.
The one that I told you guys about to check out, Follow Me Home. Were you guys able to check out the trailer for Follow Me Home?
Yeah, that looks absolutely awesome. What can you tell us about that?
So
because
that
we
was
put a link in the description for it. So yeah, but do share.
So when I worked with Benjamin Bratt on Blood In, Blood Out, we were together for 3 years, right? It took us 3 years to do that film. At the same time, his brother, right about the time that we were releasing the film, his brother Peter Bratt was graduating from the NYU Film School and came to see the premiere of Blood In, Blood Out with me and Ben. He was so impacted by the film, and they grew up in the Mission District in San Francisco, which is, very multicultural, and a very strong Latino, Chicano presence, very strong indigenous presence. And so to them who identify with the indigenous part of their Latino heritage through their mother, who's Peruana, right? But who also got involved in the AIM movement there in the Bay Area when they were young. They were actually with that group on Alcatraz that held Alcatraz for a little while as kids, right? So they remembered all of that. And when Peter saw Blood In, Blood Out and the work that me and Ben did together, he said, I love you guys. I got to write something for you. So he wrote this piece called Follow Me Home about 4 artists of color that decide they're going to jump in a van, drive across the country to the White House, and paint a mural of their ancestors on the White House. Along the way, they get waylaid by some Civil War reenactors in the middle of the country. So it's really a road picture, and it deals a lot about with cultural identity in the United States, especially when it comes from people of color, right? Again, a beautiful piece inspired by the work that we did in Blood In, Blood Out. I get to work with my brother Ben again, and I get to meet his brother Peter Bratt. So, we had all kinds of wonderful people. You'll notice in the film a lot of people from the Blood In, Blood Out cast, Tom Tolles, Noah Verduzco, who played my little brother in Blood In, Blood Out, because again, we just used the pool of talent that we knew, right? The people that we were together with. I had just done Mi Vida Loca with Salma Hayek, so she agreed to come on and do a cameo in the show. Alfre Woodard actually was the lucky thing because she didn't know anything about us, but she was so inspired by Peter and Ben's presence, and Blood In, Blood Out hadn't even come out yet. So it was wonderful that she decided to take a chance and be in it with us and be one of the leads in it. And she just added so much weight to the story. And again, this kind of modern parable about these lost, souls that are trying to find their cultural identity, their cultura, their raza, their casa, that's why it's called Follow Me Home. And it's a dream, right? It's actually a publicity stunt that my character has thought up. It's not even real. There's a kind of a betrayal in that because I'm dealing with a divided soul. I'm dealing with this kind of colonized mind. And advanced themes that we were already talking about in 1995. Well, it was a hit at the Sundance Film Festival in 1995. Everyone loved it. Hollywood hated it. None of the sponsors, none of the corporate sponsors, none of the Hollywood buyers came to the screenings, even though it was the audience favorite. And it did not, it was the only film that walked away from the festival without a distribution deal. So they tried to four-wall it. Of course, we ran out of money after a couple of seasons, and it got lost in obscurity. They got it back, but by that time they'd moved on to their other film, La Misión, which was also a hit at Sundance in 2008, right? So they kind of forgot about Follow Me Home. Fast forward to last year's elections and all the talk about, lack of diversity in voices, get out the vote. And so it was used by several get out the vote groups to stimulate a conversation about how important it is as cultura, as raza, to vote and to go out there and to unify our vote and to unify our vision. So they did 2 weeks of a free screening of the film and we had Ava DuVernay paneling. We had Dolores Huerta. We had Eva Longoria. We had Angela Davis. We had all kinds of people. And Angela actually had seen the film back in the 90s at Sundance. So for her, it was a very impactful film. So we had all of these wonderful people coming, sharing this film in the streaming world, right? While everybody was still under the pandemic. And I saw a film that 27 years ago was shunned impact my community and impact something that we were trying to do which was, hey, su voto es su voz. Your vote is so important, so get out and do it. And a unification, again, if you look at the film, and the unification of our indigenous culture, our African-American culture, and our Latino culture, and how Peter was bringing them all together in these characters to realize that we're all the same marginalized cultures that now have power in our voice and especially in our art. So it was kind of wonderful to see this film, Follow Me Home. And so now I think they're going to release it to the general audience. And they're talking about either releasing it on their own platform, which is totally possible now, or making a deal with some sort of streaming platform to get it out there. But I know for sure this year, and that's why I've been sending everybody to the .com, followmehomethemovie.com, but you can actually watch the trailer. And when you watch the trailer, it's amazing how that film still holds up and how relevant it is today. And then you have these incredible performances. Alfred Woodard, Benjamin Bratt does a performance that just brings tears to your eyes as my cousin. And he's dealing with sobriety, he's dealing with addiction, but he's also dealing with that anger that we as Latino men have felt for so long, and that we have then, that self-abuse and that domestic abuse and that abuse of our families and our communities. That Native American group that I belong to, American Indians of Texas, that group deals specifically with domestic and substance abuse in the communities of color. And we have found that it's directly linked to how people feel about themselves. Their lack of self-esteem leads them then to act out. And of course, as men, as leaders of our community and as leaders of our families, we wind up then harming and damaging our families, and that creates the cycle of prison, the cycle of addiction, and all of that is difficult things to talk about. But when you put them in movies, when you put them in narratives, then they become something that we celebrate together. And Follow Me Home does that. I mean, his other film, La Misión, does that, where it deals with a Latino father, Benjamin Bratt, dealing with a gay son. He finds out that his son is gay, and he starts
an excellent film.
So you talk about working with the Bratt brothers and then seeing their work come out in the here and now. Man, that's my career right there. That's my career in a nutshell.
Orale. Jesse, if I can ask you a question. Go ahead, Andre. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out that Mexican Iron Man says, huge fan of Mr. Borrego's work. Mr. Borrego, thank you so much for all your amazing work over the years and your commitment to your craft and community and fans of all backgrounds. Trailer looks great.
I always try to tell people, I go, look, my art is my gift to my people. So those performances, because of course, if you look at the range of my work, and again, when you talk about how I was able to continue to stay honest, right? Even though there was obviously gaps in between the hits of the career, but the beautiful thing of art is that it lives on, right? And it keeps going. It's like sound waves that apparently sound waves continue on forever, for infinity, right? The wave never dies. It keeps going on throughout the universe. It's an incredible concept to think about. So to me, art is kind of the same way. There was a time, when I thought to myself, man, I'm not getting what I want out of the industry. The industry's not celebrating my work. They're not seeing the different things that I'm doing. I'm too versatile. They can't pigeonhole me. So, but I also knew that there wasn't any characters in mainstream television or even in mainstream film at that time that I could really say, that's someone that I want to do, And in the projects that I did want to do, I wasn't in those discussions, but I didn't really worry about that. So I think what kept me going was the fact that I started in theater. I started in Teatro del Barrio, the theater of the community. And then from there, as I learned in college and I started getting on professional stages. And then from there, I got my equity card from having worked in the industry. And now I'm doing the major stages, with Joanne Akalitis from Mabu Mines. And I'm at the Joe Papp Public Theater. And I'm at the New York Shakespeare Festival. And so all of a sudden, all of that performance, all of that passion for my culture and the stories that I want to tell, aren't trapped inside of me, where in the industry, I was very trapped. In the theater, I wasn't. In the theater, I was able to be myself. The problem with the theater is that it still was very limited to an audience that could afford to go to the theater. And so I had to keep constantly find ways to break that and go back to community theater, free performances. I got together a bunch of my film industry buddies, incredible people that were, actors, successful actors in the industry. Bruce Beatty, Kimberly Scott, Michael Boatman, Don Cheadle. And I convinced them, me and Bruce Beatty, who were conceiving of it, convinced them to go into the streets. This was about 4 months before the riots in 1992. And I convinced them, I said, let's go into the streets and do Hamlet, a performance of Hamlet for the homeless communities. And we went to the homeless community in the Santa Monica Pier, and then we traveled to Skid Row, and we would find an empty parking lot, we'd clear it up, and then we would do an 11-person in the open air, an 11-person Hamlet. Very street, right? We did it very street, very contemporary. We tried to do it. It was in modern dress. We were street gangs. We were street gangs fighting for the kingdoms that are being fought over in Hamlet. But it was incredible that these communities really responded because somebody was doing something for them, right? And then we had restaurants come bring food for us. Antonio's, a Mexican, very well-known Mexican restaurant, came and brought food and fed the people while they were watching the play. And it was very difficult to do it because we did it with no funding, no sponsorship, the getting together of all these successful actors and celebrities' schedules, and then convincing them for 3 or 4 weeks to travel to these streets in LA. And again, if you remember, right before the riots, the streets in LA were very dangerous because of everything that was going on. And so it was interesting that 3-4 months later, the riots actually happened. And then we released Blood In, Blood Out that next 6 months after the riot. So it was weird how all of my life and the things I wanted to do were all kind of fixated right in those specific moments of creativity. So there wasn't really a payback in terms of monetary value, but there was a payback to me in terms of the spirituality of what I do. And so I think a lot of times when I look back at those performances and I try to remember what was going on at that time, there was very significant things going on that I was trying to address in those performances. So I think when people absorb them, they get that, you know, it isn't tangible, but they know that there's something more in that performance than just someone showing off and doing a good job. And I think that's what people resonate more in my work than, oh my God, he's a great, incredible actor. It's probably why I've never won an award, but.
Well, you definitely should have been nominated in Blood In, Blood Out. Non-Latinos for decades have been so connected to Latino culture because of your work in Blood In, Blood Out. It's in the chat right there, David Stout, among others.
Exactly. I brought it right here. You can take it, Paulie, because I put it on screen. Yeah. So basically, David Stout says, I want you to know that Blood In, Blood Out opened my heart to the Mexican culture and love for the Mexican people in a spiritual way. Tell Jesse I loved his work.
Thank you. You know that Blood In, Blood Out actually got me to Mexico to work with Mexican filmmakers. So Gabriel Retes, rest in peace, he just passed away. Incredible auteur director in Mexico. Look up his work. And as a matter of fact, if you go to Gabriel Retes, RETES.com, the film that I did with him, which won 5 Arieles in Mexico. The Arieles are the Mexican Oscars, back in 1994. So after Blood In, Blood Out, they were screening it here, and his daughter was married to our DP, Gabriel Beristain. And Gabriel, our director of photography for Blood In, Blood Out, has gone on to direct and shoot a lot of major films in the American film industry. But at that time, this was his first huge endeavor, and it was such a beautiful film, beautifully shot. And so a lot of the Mexican filmmakers of that time in the mid-90s were coming over to see if there was an inroad. And so at one of the screenings, Gabriel saw my work, Gabriel Retes, the director. And he came over to me and we had he said, incredible work, would love to talk to you and hang out. So I started hanging out with him, and he was an old hippie guy. He's from the Mexican hippie days. And he had a film called El Bulto that dealt with kind of the 60s and a big student student riot that happened in the 60s and 70s there. And so in getting to know him, he was like, well, what's up with the Chicano culture? You know, I don't know too much about it. What's going on? And so I was trying to hip him. Well, you know, this is the Chicano culture. And just to let you know, we really love our Mexicanidad, you know. To us, the Mexican culture, that's our mother, you know, it's our mother culture. And so even though we're Chicanos, we're Mexican Americans, and we're very much in the slang, you got to recognize that that's why in South Texas, I still speak Spanish, because we're very bilingual. Because he goes, I noticed that a lot of Mexican Americans in other part of the country don't really retain their Spanish, but you speak Spanish in a very archaic Mexican way. And I said, well, that's South Texas. I learned it from my parents, my grandparents. But that's the Chicanos from South Texas retain their Spanish, but it's kind of an archaic Spanish. So we had a meeting of grounds, and he goes, would you come to Mexico and work with Mexican filmmakers? And I said, of course. That's what Chicanos do. We unify. And it got me to Mexico, and I worked on this film called Bienvenidos, Welcome, also known as Welcome, Bienvenidos, depending on which side of that. But it was a film about Mexican filmmakers trying to make a movie in English about a couple that gets AIDS, a married couple that gets AIDS. And it was a comedy on the Mexican filmmaker side, and we do the whole French thing where we go into the film and it becomes the film, and then we're in the film, cut, and we come out and we're into the comedy. It won. It was so popular. It placed at the Havana Film Festival. It was popular in Latin America, and it never got American distribution. So one of my goals is to open a streaming platform here and stream it here for the American audience, if they like my work. But if you go to GabrielRetes.com and look for Bienvenidos, Welcome, you'll see my work. And I play 3 characters in that one. So talk about what I've always wanted to do. I do the Peter Sellers thing, and I played 3 different characters in that.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, that are completely different, separate characters. So I challenge my fans to see which characters I am. Yeah, I mean it.
Also, yeah, no, but I agree. That's actually really cool. Like of course, you're referencing Doctor Strangelove,
Yes.
which had like I think it
Yes.
was 4 of Peter Sellers' best performances all in one movie.
But you know, one of my
Yeah.
favorite groups is Monty Python. You know, and if you look at Life of Brian and the Holy Grail, it's the same guys playing all the characters.
Or Life of Brian, yeah, it's like the same troupe doing
The same
everything.
troupe doing everything.
Yeah.
So
I think Rob has played several of those characters here on Midnight's Edge.
Yeah, also within the span of one stream.
I got a Latino Chicano Monty Python-esque type of film. Take me back to Tepeyac, but it's something where I'd like to get all my favorite comedian friends to just and all of us do crazy characters. You know, that's set in colonial San Antonio, right? Colonial San Antonio de Bejar. And the kooky stuff there. And I want to do things like address, you know, our idea of mestizaje and our idea of what's indigenous and, you know, what's Spanish and, you know, what's colonial but in a funny way, right? Because they're very difficult discussions to have, especially when it comes to the whole American history thing, which, you know, this is going to be the era of decolonizing everything, including our historical perspective. And being from San Antonio, I mean, they feed us the narrative of the Alamo the minute we're born, right? But the reality of it is, when you look at the true history, it was a Tejano battle. It was not an Anglo-American battle. It was a Tejano battle, started 20 years and 14 years earlier by the Tejanos. And all of the Southwest was rebelling against centralized Mexican European rule, which was Napoleon, which was Spanish, which we never knew which European country was running us. And so in the North, which was very separated from Mexico proper, you know, the northern communities were the affluent ones. They were the cowboys. They were the vaqueros. They had the industry of the cattle, but they were very separated. And so in that separation, they decided, you know what, we're going to be our own republics. And that's where the idea of the republics came from. So by the time Austin and all these guys came to us, we were in the middle of an independence movement. They joined that independence movement. It was only later changed in the history books and propagandized to justify a lot of the land grabs that were happening in the early 1700s and in the later 1800s after 1850. So those last 50 years, they had to change the narrative because it doesn't make sense that there was a bunch of Tejanos at the battle when you were fighting Mexicans. So they changed the narrative. And at the same time, you know, Seguin, who was our last Latino mayor in San Antonio, got run out of town with his family under threat of his life. Mm-hmm. So you tell me what kind of situation was happening in San Antonio that 10 years after the Alamo, you're running out the people. You know, Seguin is the one who escaped from the Alamo to try to get a message to get help for the Alamo people. So under threat of his own life, he sneaked out and with his Tejano riders took off to try to, and by the time he came back, the battle was over. But Seguin was a hero. All of those people were heroes, and they got marginalized in the history. So I have to learn this. Every Latino, you know, youth has to learn this growing up, every Mexican American kid. So by the time you get to high school, in your head, you're already the enemy. You're already the immigrant. You were never born here or are from here. And so those origins start to wear on your culture. So for me as an artist, well, that's what we do, right? We heal, we change, we tell the story that's not told. And so I've taken it on as a personal responsibility in all of my characters that I portray to kind of tell these untold stories, to show a different perspective. You know?
Let me ask you a question if I can, Jesse. It seems that in our entertainment nowadays, the message is being hammered to people as opposed to in an organic story where it entertains first. You know, I mean, I as a Chicano, I totally connect to everything you've said. You know, and as far as history lessons, being smothered, completely smothered, and told upside down and in the dark. I get it, right? I'm with that. Absolutely. I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, particularly with this community here and Midnight's Edge, and a lot of the people, they don't want to be talked down to. They don't want to be, you know, they want entertainment. They want to be entertained. And I'm not saying like, you know, shut up and dance.
Yeah.
But you know,
Keep dribbling.
You know, keep dribbling.
Keep dribbling.
Keep dribbling. But you know, you're so fiercely committed to your principles, and I love that. How can that you know, how can you balance that with entertaining a broader audience, and you know, where you don't have to do Cholo number 3 to the left?
Yeah, well, I think the balance is I mean, that's the delicate balance that an artist of responsibility and integrity has to take, right? Now, again, you are absolutely right. I mean, I've had people tell me, you're an idiot, you don't want to work, you're saying you're turning down work. Truthfully, I haven't turned down any more work than I've done. So I mean, a lot of the jobs that I went out for that I wanted, I didn't get. I just wasn't the hot guy of the time. my accent wasn't thick enough. You know, I wasn't ugly enough. Whatever the reason was, that wasn't where I was supposed to be. But that's not how I run my art, right? My career is my art. My art is not my career, right? And so my art comes from my inspirations around me, my family, my cultura, my community, and those things are rooted in, yes, they're rooted in politica, they're rooted in, you know, the perception of who we are on our own land, strangers in our own land, right? I just told you about the history that, you know, hundreds of years of our Mexican American generations have had to deal with in the Southwest. You know, what does that do to the psyche of an entire culture? Yeah. Is it too much to say that I'm taking that on? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm doing it in my organic way, right? Which is, if you look at my career, sure, I addressed every single one of those things, starting with Jesse Velasquez on Fame. I just told you he was undocumented. You know, the writers were brilliant. Why at that time in the mid 80s, in 1984, with a show that just had Janet Jackson on, right? That was the year that I came on, Janet was on. So they were obviously trying to skew the show. Remember, the Alan Parker film was very heavy. It dealt with the fact that these kids were coming from an urban environment and trying to achieve these dreams of success, when in reality, they were coming from the streets of New York. Mm-hmm. You know, Gene Anthony Ray's character couldn't read. You know, Coco, Irene Cara's character was dealing with this dark, seedy world of the entertainment world, you know? So there was all of these things, and the TV show, when they started writing it, kept these adult themes in there. You know, they were really dealing with adult themes. Well, when it got to when they brought Janet in, they were kind of trying to skew it more towards the MTV crowd, where the shows were going to be a little more entertaining, a little louder, you know. So the fact that they actually wrote Jesse Velasquez as an undocumented, student, and the fact that his family had been taken by the immigration, and the fact that I was actually from Texas, I was actually from Juarez, Mexico, and our family was living in El Paso, was the backstory, and that immigration had come, the migra had come and taken them, and I escaped, and somehow this 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid made it from El Paso all the way to New York, and somehow got enrolled into the School of Performing Arts. You know, who wrote that? That's great. That's great. And so ahead of the curve. Now you're still dealing with this crisis at our border, and that's our raza, man. You know, growing up in South Texas, you never saw gente from Mexico as the others, right? You always saw them as primos, as hermanos. I remember going to Piedras Negras all the time, never realizing that that's where the Borrego crossed over and lived in Eagle Pass for a while. So there was a connection to Piedras Negras. You know,
Yeah, our family's from there too.
Dude, my grandmother's from Laredo. So
but back then there wasn't borders like there
was
you
no
know
border.
the idea of borders and states were completely different.
So as artists, we were brought up with
completely
that.
different. We also have something completely different. Reference Monty Python joining us here right now. Welcome, Nina Diaz, our second guest of the day.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Carnala, what's up?
I miss you, man. Hey, everybody. Oh, it's so nice to see you. So nice to see everybody. Hey, hey, Paul. No.
Okay.
Hey, Paulie. Hello.
What about
Thanks
me?
for having
Jeez.
me. I miss you too.
I've had the distinct pleasure again, the benefits of being a Chicano celebrity, right? I've had the distinct pleasure of introducing Nina, Girl in a Coma, and many of the musical performances that she's done. And again, it's always a pleasure to know that we're both from San Anto, that she keeps it real, and you know, she's proud of her cultura. So
yeah,
yes.
and
man.
both San Antonio
catch me,
natives. Tom, you know, I want you to meet Rob. And this is Nina Diaz, everyone.
Greetings.
Hello,
it's
everybody.
a pleasure to have you here. Now, Paulie, I'm sure that most of our audience will be familiar with Nina already, but we have quite an international collection here. So for those that may not be familiar with Nina Diaz already, Paulie, give us an introduction.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you to over 500 people still hanging out with us. Make sure you subscribe to Midnight's Edge, their new channel, Midnight's Edge Español, where we'll have amazing interviews, performances, and Midnight's Edge style content as well. Nina Diaz has been on the cutting edge of independent rock for 20 years now. Her band Girl in a Coma was a trio out of San Antonio, Texas, and was on Joan Jett's Blackheart label for many years. She was the lead singer and songwriter, and along with her sister and childhood friend, they toured for many years. And I feel weird because Nina's right next to me. Like talking about someone that's not here.
I felt like because I was gonna drink water like a ventriloquist, and now I'll tell you my life story.
Reach over and take his hat there. So.
Don't fuck it up, Polly.
Oh, that's the fancy hat. You're wearing it.
Yeah, well, it's Cinco de Mayo, and this is a big deal, and you guys are a big deal, and thank you guys for coming on, and I've known Nina and her sister and Jen for many years, and you know, we reconnected last year. She's gone solo, and we reconnected on a different level, both being sober, and we've had some great conversations and raised some money for the Southwest Children's Bereavement Center last year, and you know, her music is so stunning, guys, and I just want to keep giving a platform to independent artists such as Jesse and Nina, because we're all about this community that we're in. Is we feel betrayed by Hollywood entertainment, and we love. Betrayed. We want to not only do we want to support with our dollars independent entertainment.
Yes.
New exciting independent with our dollars. Nina Diaz, Jesse Borrego. I mean, I think Andre for Christmas I took Nina's country album. She did a country album, and I gave it to 20 people. You know,
it's funny. I thought it was an accident because I saw. I'm like, oh, did he just push the button too many times? I'll wait for him to message me. Like, who buys an album 20 times? But that's all you do, which is great because you share new music, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, around the world and here, Nina Diaz, everyone.
Are you ready for me? Okay, I got to switch over.
No, I
because
didn't know if that was a good intro. What did you think, guys?
I'm satisfied in my heart and in my soul. And then now I'm going to awkwardly transition over because as with the lockdowns, we've been learning how to stream from home and tech stuff I never knew I would ever understand. So we're going to switch on over. Here
Okay.
Okay.
You won't be able to hear us, right?
I won't, but I think I'll be able to see your face. Wait.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, there's your face.
Okay,
I'll
so
see you.
if there's a problem, we'll hit the thumbs up, or we'll do like this if there's a problem.
Okay, or I have my phone near if you need to call me if I'm just not paying attention.
Okay, and you're gonna.
Oh no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Okay. I'm just saying as far as
raise the roof.
You want to introduce the songs?
If we love it, can we raise the roof?
Yeah, raise the roof if you love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the audience, of course, will be raising the roof in their homes as well. But there's no way of hearing that. But yes, everyone, we are going to have the wonderful Nina Diaz in concert.
And that is her husband Jorge on drums. Hail, Jorge, ¿cómo estás, señor? And I cannot wait to, we're in for a big treat. This is our gift to you, Midnight's Edge. This is our gift to the Midnight's Edge audience and to new and old audience members, Tom and Rob and Andre. Gift of music. Let's enjoy.
In front of us, it hasn't opened yet, and now it's open. Welcome to our land. That is my husband, Jorge on drums. And I'm Nina Diaz. And here's some new music for you. For my album that will hopefully be out at the end of this year, early next year, because we're also recording all of that from home too, learning a lot. And I have a Patreon, I'll tell you more about that later. Okay, happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Let's have some fun.
Believe in miracles, perfect and for me. Leap of faith we land. What am I gonna do now? What am I gonna say now? I could be me, you could be you. Help me now. Perfect time to tell me. Let me hear the words. What am I gonna do now? What am I gonna say now? Run away from what we overcame. Run away from love. Chase me, embrace me, we overcame. I could be you, you could be me. Touch me now, we're ground. Perfect time for me. Live on faith, we land. What am I gonna do now? What am I gonna say now? Run away from love. Look what we overcame. Run away from love. Chase me, embrace me, we overcame. Hey, hey,
That one is called Marigold Run. Yay! All right, we got 2 more left for you. We started off kind of chill. Now let's speed it up a little bit, huh? This next one is called This Crazy Feeling.
It's 6 o'clock again, and I think she's gonna write you a letter. She is gonna tell you all about the way she felt the other night. And even though you told her once before you could never love her, she has this crazy feeling that someday she's gonna be your wife. She only wanted to tell you how it feels when you're away. Dream, nothing but fall, loving in love remains. It's 6 o'clock again, and I think she's gonna write another letter. She'll seal it with a kiss and wish on the brightest star tonight. And even though you told her once before you could never love her, she has this crazy feeling that someday she's gonna be your wife. Oh, she only wanted to tell you how it feels when you're away. Dream, nothing will fall, loving in love with the haze. Hey, hey, hey.
She opened up her door, and on the floor she found herself a letter. She held it to her chest and she thanked the gods and stars above.
'Cause even though you told her once before you could never love her, it said to whom it may concern, I think you found yourself your ever faithful love. Oh, she only wanted to tell you how it feels when you're away, away. Dream, nothing would fall, but then in love remains. She has this crazy feeling that someday she is gonna. She has this crazy feeling that someday she is gonna. She has this crazy feeling that someday she is gonna. Woo! Yeah, little Texas.
Woo! It's been a while, but I'm gonna get back there. For you, this next one is "Give It
Doing
All
great.
You Got." Just like the soldiers at the Battle of Puebla.
Puebla, 62, baby.
Make a change now. Just think about if the one who came before had to figure out. Hey, 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 gotta let it out. Count it on your gun, silently, count it on your gun. The time is now. Church now. Don't waste your time feeling doubt. Dreams become reality, reality, identity, mentality. Set you free, meet your curiosity. Hey, 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 hey. Gotta let it on you. Count it on your gun. Slowly, babe, count it on your gun. The time is now. Count it on your gun. Slowly, babe, count it on your gun. The time is now, 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 now. Hey now, free at night. Let it all out. Count it on your gun. Count it on your gun. Count it on your gun. Shine it, babe. Count it on your gun. The time is now. Now, 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 now. Count it on your gun. Shine it, babe. Count it on your gun. The time is now, 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 now.
Thank you. I'm gonna go right back over there so we can chat. Yay!
All right.
Well, yes.
Nina-
Thank
Ni-
you, Nina
Raise
Diaz.
the roof.
That was awesome.
Blew the roof off.
Yeah.
Roof is gone.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nina Diaz, for
Thank you.
performing live for Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge Español, because this will, of course, be re-uploaded there.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Look, I got my gracias. Oh, gracias. Oh, gracias.
The
Yeah.
chat's loving
Yeah.
you, man. The chat is loving you.
As
What I want to say
Actual
hi.
Access claps furious and great support.
What's up, brother?
Yeah.
So, hello everyone. Thanks for listening. Again, Jesse Borrego, Sananto por vida. Thanks for always repping, brother. And again, Polly, thank you for all your support and the access to this great stuff we get to perform for. And it's always for a good cause. Thank you, brother.
We have sexy Jesus in the background there. He says thank you too.
Hey, Paulie, he stole my hat. What's going on here?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Well, no, I don't have that much hair. That's why I wear the hat. Or as I call it, hair alternative treatment.
Oh, he wants to show you his cholo. Here he comes.
Oh my god.
You know that always steals my heart, right?
The musical cholo.
The musical cholo. That's how he got me.
Wow.
I saw him in it, and I was like, I'm in love.
I'm Italian. We call that, where my parents, we call that a kupalik.
Kupalik.
Kupalik, yeah.
Kupalik. Kupalik. I don't know why I added I don't think that's right.
Cupulicano.
Cupulicano.
There you go.
Mexicano.
Italian, Spanish, the sort of the same.
That's
I could,
right.
Yeah,
I could tell everybody go
Fun.
f themselves in just about any language now. So
that's sweet. That's sweet. What?
That's
Oh,
sweet.
that's sweet.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's on like your profile for your dating app. I can tell everybody to F off in every language. He's a keeper. He's the one. It's him. I found him.
To be fair,
Mom,
that's
I
like the
found
first
him.
thing you learn in every new language, though, isn't it?
It's all the curse words.
Well,
Hey,
Andre,
Nina, I have a question for Jorge.
Hey, babe, they want to talk to you.
One question. Hey, those arrangements were beautiful. How much of those does Nina let you chime in on? or is it collaborative? Because the
No,
drum
I mean,
patterns.
to be honest, Nina, ever since she recruited me as her drummer before we became partners with the other bandmates of the previous band, she always let us have full, she let us put our soul into it. Exactly. And if something's needed to be adjusted, she would, give critiques because it is her music, her performance, her art. And I respect that. So whatever she has, I can take direction easily from her.
Dude,
But
top-notch arrangements. Beautiful. Beautiful.
she makes it easy. She does it all. I just add little oomph of kick, but it's all her for real.
Love it.
I think I've gotten better. I think after 20 years, I think I've finally gotten a little bit better.
Do you play well with others?
Oh no, arrangement, yeah, but not playing with others. I'm still working on that. No, we barely got to a sweet spot where I'm like,
Dude, that's
okay,
beautiful.
I'm listening to you, but you have to listen to me. Okay, I'm trying to be like Michael Jackson. I say this with love. Just play it how I wrote it. Thank you. Or you're sleeping on the couch. That's why it's it is hard. No, but he's gotten. I think it's just strengthened our relationship as a whole, and that's why we're gonna keep it as a 2-piece for a while because I'm like, we're just getting stronger to communicate with each other.
I love the 2-piece.
Yeah, it feels good. Like I don't want to throw other people into the mix just yet. Even though I miss my guys when I had my solo band touring. I think right now it's important for us to get the stability even stronger, and then we can bring other people into our craziness. Yeah.
Nina, you have an international crowd that just saw you. Lots of great reaction.
Awesome.
Where can they get where can they check out your music?
So I'm on Spotify. If you look up Nina Diaz, iTunes as well. But I did start a Patreon recently. Nina Diaz. Nina Diaz Solo is my Patreon to fund my new album, and I get very personal in there too. I started like a podcast. Basically, where I'm just blabbering for a long time talking about my feelings, right? And I feel like I share a lot more there in my Patreon than I do in my other social medias because sometimes you can kind of get lost in social media, and I find that I can kind of give a lot, so I'm trying to find that balance. And I think, hey, the Patreon's a pretty safe community with us. Like, I think they really, really do want to be there because again, you can get lost in the algorithm of everything else. So if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of everything, I'd say follow me on my Patreon. I have a $5 tier and a $25 tier.
Órale. We'll get that in the link there, Andre. Tom or Rob, did you guys have any questions for Nina?
Well, first I want to point out some audience reactions that were so good that Prince Andrew, he even sent $50 Australian super chat just to say thank you, Nina and Jorge and Midnight Edge.
I punched my mic.
Incredible show.
Dude, you're so good from Australia.
Wasu 42 also points out that White Stripes were a 2-piece as well, and they were awesome. So there is some excellent precedent there. And Max Relax points out all the songs were good, but the third was his favorite.
That was a new one that I hadn't heard yet. I like know all your songs.
Yeah. So far, I mean, we played I guess the ones that we're most comfortable with you so far. But give it all you got. That's where I've had the time to be able to go back and edit myself now without being hard on myself. That's the good thing when you're writing is get all your ideas out, but no, you can always edit yourself. It doesn't have to be that first draft, and sometimes it shouldn't be that first draft. So it's okay to edit. So I went back and edited that one, and I was like, it was one of those. I think we got it. It just felt, you could just feel it. So I'm really glad that one's taken a liking to the peeps. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And everyone, I see many people wondering in the chat where they can buy your music. And so we've highlighted the link from Natasha with Nina Diaz on Spotify. So that would be a good place to go, wouldn't it? Is there somewhere else that is more preferable to buy your music?
Spotify, iTunes. But again, my Instagram is Nina Diaz Solo. Facebook, I have a link tree there that has everything in it too. And my Bandcamp. Oh, I have my Bandcamp. I'm still new to my Bandcamp. I started it in October of last year, releasing a bunch of cover songs that I did during quarantine to help with the funds. I only expected to do like 20, but I ended up doing almost 100 that I'm slowly like releasing. Because I was like commission covers. So I have 6 albums of covers on my Bandcamp if you want to check those out. And it's Nina Diaz Solo is my Bandcamp as well.
Yes, that's.
If I may, to the listening audience, that Bandcamp, if you want to see Nina's versatility vocally, got covers of country albums, covers of pop stuff, 80s stuff, all done in her vibe. You'll fall in love with her just like I did and everybody else.
Oh, he's the best manager drummer ever.
Yeah.
He's good.
Very cool. And there you can also see linked to here is from Natasha is the Bandcamp link. So go and check that out. And yes, I have that. Actually, I do have a question, because whenever we have esteemed companies such as yours, we always like to ask our guests, because we have many aspiring artists in our audience. How did you get started in a very competitive industry?
It's kind of fate in its own way, because I started when I was 13 years old, fronting my previous band, Girl in a Coma. I am grateful that my ex-bandmates did help to give me that push to get on the stage, but it's the kind of thing where you do learn some sort of resilience energy in it, because you can quickly lose yourself, which I did in drugs when I was in my teens to early 20s. But music always, I found myself back again because of how I felt with the music. So I think no matter what age you are when you get started, as long as you keep true to yourself, as cliche and cheesy as that sounds, I think that can take you really far in your career. And to understand what your idea of success is it making a bunch of money, or is it truly being happy what you do, knowing that big break, you can't just wait for that big break. You have to know that you're satisfying yourself just by creating. And I know that sounds cliche and cheesy, but I'm barely learning that lesson right now. So I guess, like, to answer the question, it's just kind of start to put yourself out there and know that rejection does come along with it, but inevitably it should make you stronger.
But that's that whole idea that I was talking to everybody about, how I tell everybody my career is not my art, and my art is not my career. My art is my expression of who I am and what I need to say. Once you start to put yourself in that, is somebody going to give me a job? Is someone going to pay for my song? Then all of a sudden it starts to change your ideas of what expression is. And I tell people, especially at a young age, don't worry about that. Work on the art, work on the skill set, work on how you want to express yourself better, rather than, am I going to make it? When am I going to get the award? And I think if you develop in that way, by the time they're ready to approach that, hopefully they'll have built up that artistic resilience. I call it artistic integrity.
Yeah.
Because when they tell you no, then that just means that they don't get what you're trying to express,
Exactly.
So,
And that's what I tell myself. I'm like, well, they didn't like Bowie at first too. Like, whenever,
like nobody that's good.
And and again, you're exactly right, Jesse. Like, it's that, like, if that's what I'm learning, that's what quarantine has taught me too, is to reconnect with myself as an artist and to see how jumbled I got and how competitive I got. Because there is a certain level of competitive in it, but you have to have self-respect at the same time. Like, it's not competitive. You don't want to be so competitive with yourself and just push yourself down. You want to know that you're fulfilling yourself. Yeah.
All right, this is where my nerd comes out, and you're gonna have to bear with me. But what you play Telecaster? What are you playing that through?
Oh, I have my Vox. It's a AC30 Vox.
Sweet.
It's hidden in the closet over there, and towards my brother's room. So it's awesome that he's like trying to take his naps for work. He's like, "So you're working on that song again?" Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, brother. Yeah, it's through my AC30 Vox. I've had that Vox for a long time. But yeah, that telly, it is an American telly that was gifted to me by a friend that had passed away a while back. So it's one of the guitars I super treasure a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I have a telly tattooed on me too because of Johnny Marr from the Smiths.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
how I started
Johnny Marr.
Tellys a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have Johnny Marr. Yeah.
And I don't know personally, but Johnny Marr, Johnny Thunders, Johnny Ramone. I know
all
the Johnnies.
all the Johnnies. I'm in the Johnny Club,
Johnny Canales.
Johnny Carnales.
Johnny Come Lately.
Take it away.
Do you use any? Do you use any effects? I mean,
I do. I have my rat distortion pedal, and I have really that's the only effect I have. I have a grunge distortion pedal that I'll click on for an
this is
boost.
this is where I pull the Ultra Nerd card out. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Nice. That's the remake one, right?
Yeah, that's the one from,
Yeah.
from the early to mid 90s. Yeah.
Like I'm showing off because I got the
You got the vintage one from the 80s?
No, it's the original one because that one has like it's little the slant is a little different too.
This is when all this is when all the alternative guys were saying, "Oh man, the Rat is so awesome!" You know, one of the guys from Teenage Fan Club was holding it on the liner notes, and I guess they said, "Okay, time to put it back out in the wild." So
yeah, because I love the 90s. I love the alternative sound. I'm very influenced by a lot of bands from that time. So of course, it's kind of going to sneak its way into my development over there. What I'm working with. But yeah, the Rat pedal's awesome. The grunge pedal. It's funny because it's called grunge, and it does give that dirty sound whenever we're playing our more harder songs. I love to put that little guy on for that extra boost. That Sonic Youth kind of vibe.
But I think that's what I've always liked about your music, especially when you started to go solo, is that I saw in your music all the influences of not only your musical influences, but your cultural influences, and I think that's what I always appreciated about you as an independent artist, is that you really felt that, our roots, our culture, this is where we come from. And we may not be, from a certain generation, but all those influences feed into our art, and that's what I try to tell people. I go, no, you have to understand, I'm representing the stuff that my father never got a chance to be exemplified for, my relatives, so all that music. And, I'm a 80s guy myself. So in the 80s, I was already bringing all of that cultura with me to my modern expression of what my art was. And that's what I like about your music. You can always see el sabor, el raíz.
Thank you. That means a lot, Jesse. You always know how to make me feel good, Jesse. Thanks so much. He's always been so supportive. Thank you. And everyone here, man, this has been awesome to be a part of.
The music was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Beautiful. Absolutely stellar. And we have a couple of questions and comments from the audience, as we have been live a little bit for a while. So these are comments that I can't bring up on screen. So you're just going to have to listen to them. And one of them, Jesse, is actually in reference to your recent movie, Follow Me Home. Because about that, Madeline's Id said, I see similar issues in communities one might refer to as hillbilly, physical and substance abuse stemming from low self-esteem. So I think it's a movie that will resonate well beyond. If you look at the brilliance,
like I told you, the brilliance of Peter Brad and the theme that he was trying to come across with in that film, is that ultimately when you look at the villains, right, which in that narrative you would think would be stereotypical, they're very much, it was interesting because they're very much like Trumpsters, right, where people think a very limited way and then they're going to focus it into a very violent racist reaction, right, instead of really thinking, okay, we have differences, let's figure this out. No, it's black or white and it's going in this direction. And so that's a very archaic colonial way of thinking. And so if you look at the white characters in that film, they're three-dimensional. These actors were incredible that played them. So even though they have that position as the villains, they transform in the back half, and it's actually one of them that is able to liberate himself from that point of view. But he's also the one that's been studying martial arts, Asian philosophy, so he's kind of getting that idea of transformation. So it's interesting that they talk about that, because that's really what we're dealing with right now. So I would say, yeah, even if you're from a rural white community, you're dealing with cultural soul wounds that you have to heal in order to be able to accept the fact that we're all human beings. We're all one. So great perception. Hope you like the movie. Follow Me Home.
Órale.
Yes, indeed.
I'll follow you anywhere, Jesse.
Vámonos.
Let's
Follow me to
go.
the taco house.
Oh, what's that, babe? Oh, Mrs. Slant was yelling at me. Romy was yelling at me.
Yeah, it's a wonderful when we can get some real life into the stream here.
I know. Like, what did I do?
But like some magical moments will come out that way. Like for instance, when both Paulie and Tom and Jesse and I think Rob were there in the Blood In, Blood Out reunion panel when we just that way got the Helen Mirren cameo, which is something I'll never
just
forget.
Popped in. Hi, everybody.
But you notice she was like trying to get into the act the whole time, man.
Hey,
she kept
you
like,
know what?
oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Entonces,
A trained actress, like she doesn't know where the camera
just got a
is.
box.
Right? Said, hey,
What's
busted
in the
open.
box? What's in the box?
We wanna
What's in the
know.
box?
What's in the box?
That's the mystery box.
Finally, Tom says something. What's in the box?
Don't open it.
Don't open it.
It's
That's
his
what they
brand
want.
new
They
rat.
want you to open it.
Well, really, no. This whole thing started with me and Tom hanging out on each other's streams, and him so fascinated with the Latino culture and La Bamba and Blood In, Blood Out, and here we are, man.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, well, Cinco de Mayo también, but opening up the new channel of Midnight's Edge Español is something I know Andre's it's a big passion of his.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, so we got to do this whole thing again in Español. Let's do it. Nina, you got to translate your songs in Español.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
I'm
you
on
got to
it.
remember everything you've just said for the last 2 hours, and then repeat it in Spanish. Jesse.
Hey, so funny joke about that. So we did the Spanish version of Blood In, Blood Out. It was called Sangre por Sangre. Andre, you don't know this, but it's very famous in Latin America. It's the exact same film dubbed over in Spanish, right? So when I knew this was happening, I told the director and the producer, I go, I speak Spanish. I want to do my own translation. They said, it's the whole movie. We've got Mexican voiceover actors. I said, I speak Spanish. I know how to act in Spanish, and I know Chicano slang. So this guy's not going to know Chicano slang. So I know where I did all my slang. Let me do it. They said, fine. So my voice is on that Spanish translation, Sangre por Sangre, right? However, I acted off of a script, right? It was different than what I did when I did the English version. So I remember my lines in English. I don't remember my lines in Spanish. So my favorite lines that everybody knows in English, when my Spanish-speaking fans come up to me and they say, do that famous line, I don't know what to say because I only did it once. So it's hilarious when I hear my favorite lines in Spanish. It's pretty funny.
Jorge wants to put you on the spot right now and tell you. Can you do one right now? It's like,
yeah.
He doesn't remember. Do you remember? You do?
Let me see. A ver, ¿quieres hospitalidad? Ahí está una lata de chinga tu madre ahí en la mesa. Sírvate. And that's that one where I tell them, you want hospitality? There's a can of, excuse my French, chinga tu madre right there on the table. But it's a point where the brothers are very, again, talking about that sobriety issue, right? When I did that and I spun off of that, I said to myself as an actor, I went, what am I saying? All my Mexican grandmothers are going to watch this movie and they're going to be horrified. But then I thought, you know what? I know this character. He is so far gone in the needle that he would literally say that to his brother because he's such an idiot and because of how far that character goes downward. And I know that I have tecatos in my family, so I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out, that those people are hurting, man, that those people are so far gone, they'll do something stupid like that. And that's the tragedy. It's not a villainous thing. It's a tragic thing. And that's what I think raises those stories to a Shakespearean level,
Absolutely. I mean, that's why it's still timeless. It's timeless. It's
yeah,
timeless
but even
movie.
the end of the film, Jorge, when I go, we come out chased by hounds, wearing a pinche rabbit's foot for luck. But we've got something better than a rabbit's foot for luck. We've got familia, raza, way. So I end an American film. I end an American film with a Spanish phrase, raza, way. And that's so slang that I said to myself, okay, this is not for an American audience. This is for my raza. You know, they're going to understand the code. And I think that's what I was able to do with the Spanish version. But it's interesting because I you know, a lot of those good lines I don't know in Spanish.
But you know, it's beautiful Chicano slang, which is like uniquely an American experience.
Code, man. Yeah,
it's a uniquely American.
Puro code, yeah.
Puro code, man.
Puro code, homie.
You know, it's probably one of the great Andre and Tom. Probably one of the greatest speeches to end a movie I've ever heard.
Jimmy Santiago Baca.
Ooh.
Yep, that was the writer, and he's winning a lot of literary awards right now. He actually does a big writing camp in July there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he does a lot with people that have dealt with prison and are dealing with PTSD from prison and that type of life, and he gets them into writing, poetry, and writing, and it's beautiful because
he has a new book coming out, Jesse, and he's sending me one. I mean, I'm like,
Te rayaste, homeboy.
I'm innocent.
Te rayaste.
Yeah, I'm gonna review it for sure for Midnight's Edge Español.
Lucky man.
Awesome.
And then Nina's sending you her new project. What's up, dude? You get all the hookups to Polly? What's going on?
Hey, you got you're part of you're part of it, bro. You're part of it.
Right.
We gave out your movie Monday.
Hijo. Which one?
Hey, wait. Wasn't I supposed to get a shirt? You never sent me a shirt, Polly. I thought I was supposed to get a shirt, a Latino slant shirt.
Really?
Yeah, what's up? I didn't get mine either.
What? Whoops! I gotta go.
Dang it!
Well, you certainly got a reminder now.
Hey,
Bye.
So Nina, how long did it take y'all to set up that little virtual studio? And why did you say it took you guys a while to figure it out?
Well, because at first, you know, when COVID hit, of course, shows got canceled, everything, and then time to get adjusted. I think after doing all the cover songs that were commissioned, it kickstarted me back into the groove of music in general, and then writing new material. And we're like, well, we want to get it out there, but actually, I collaborated with this company called Pretty Paints Party, based out of California. It's so sweet because the owners are sweet. They reached out to me. They're like, hey, let's put together a special Nina Diaz kit where it was like a picture of me, and they put everything together, the paints, and it's a Zoom stream. So that was my first time actually streaming. Like, I never even really did Instagram streaming before because I would actually get super nervous with it. It was a weird kind of nerves to get over with the camera. It's interesting. So after doing the first Pretty Paint stream, it was just me and my acoustic. And I was like, you know, I want to make this a little better, you know, for the people, not just like this. Well, let's look into different programs. And that's how we found OBS. And then we actually had some help from Latino Slant, setting some things up with some questions. And then, we've just slowly been, you know, green screen. We wanted to have more fun with the green screen, but right now we just like the vibe and the energy of it before we start making that super 90s look where we green screen everything. But it's been a lot of trial and error, you know, because it's a pretty small space. And at first I had Jorge behind me, but then I was like, you know what, it's us too. Let's bring it closer together and actually like show we're in unison here. So we've been just testing out a lot of different stuff. From where we were this time last year, I wouldn't even think we would be doing this. And now
Thunk.
I'm really proud. Is it thunk? I wouldn't have thunk this. I wouldn't have thunk
it.
Who would have thunk that we'd be doing stream? Who would have thunk it? Puro Thunk. That's the name of our company. Puro Thunk.
Puro
Thunk Productions.
Wow.
But we're actually kind of starting our own little production here, Beat Girl Productions, where I'm like, you know what? We're learning how to stream. We're recording the album from home. I'm using Logic Pro X. It's a lot of DIY stuff, but I think some of the best things I've done have started off DIY. You know, like that's just in my energy of to work, right? Like I want to learn all the ins and outs, and whatever we are able to do for ourselves, we want to share that with our community and our other musician friends that are struggling financially as well. And it's like, hey, if we can do this way cheaper and do a great product, let's be the guinea pigs first in our own way before we kind of like bring other people in. Yeah, it's been cool, man. It has been cool to learn.
Well, it works.
Thank you.
Totally
Thank
works.
you.
Very, very cool indeed. And we have a couple. We've received like some tips and some kudos from our audience. Anti-Derivative Jill sent us a super sticker with a rose, And Darius Münchhausen, he sent us a popcorn super sticker, probably in anticipation of the live performance. So thanks for that. And Chris Webb sent us a donation with no text attached, but thank you so much for that. And in reference to something that Rob said earlier, Jorge Burgos Jr. said, or original character icon, Rob. But we didn't get that at the time, so I do not quite recall the context for it. And Tiberius Monk said, I am excited for Phase 4 of the MCU. They have achieved a cinematic universe that's unrivaled. Every film will earn a chance with me until they prove me wrong. And that's very fair. And the last millennial, he sent 2 super chats back to back with a picture request in them. So if you're still here watching the last millennial, I'm gonna do these super chats in the Friday show. So be sure to get back to that, because then we can have, because they invite a longer discussion. So we'll do that on Friday. So we'll get back to them on that. And on that note, again, when we just got a super sticker from Grand Wasu 42 for €5. So thank you so much for that. That is much appreciated. And with that, I do believe we are fully caught up. Then I just want to say thank you so much to Jesse Borrego for being here with us today, for telling us about your career, the behind-the-scenes stories of Blood In, Blood Out, your passion, and your upcoming project, which is linked to in the description. So everyone, do check that out. And I also would like to say thank you to Nina Diaz for gracing us with an amazing performance. And I know that many people in the chat discovered you for the first time today. So I think you'll be seeing some more sales on your various sites. So yeah, that's awesome.
We know what you're all about, Nina.
Getting my music out there, that's what it's about. Helping people. It's all gonna help people. Try to make it sound tough, and it's like it's good. I'm gonna help the heck out of people.
I'm gonna help the F out of people. Be a servant.
Gonna make people good, confident.
For the good. For the greater good. I'm gonna help people out. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
And also, I would like to say thank you to everyone in the chat for joining us today. And everyone, head on over to Midnight's Edge Español. Give the channel your support and subscription to help it get established, so the algorithm starts recommending things from there. And that's also where the interview with Jesse and the performance from Nina is going to be re-uploaded. And the last millennial just said, all right, see you Friday. I'm a head out. Hail Midnight's Edge. Oh, excellent. You got it. Yes. So we'll follow up on that note. And Natasha also has a message or a link for Midnight's Edge Español. So do check that out. And with that, any parting words for our audience, Jesse?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for watching Midnight's Edge. Make sure and watch them in Español. And I'll make sure and memorize all my favorite lines from Blood In, Blood Out, Sangre por Sangre for the Español version.
We'll have you on soon on that show.
Absolutely.
Those are going to be live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m.
Puedo hacer la entrevista en español, no hay problema. So, échale. Puro Tex-Mex slang.
Love it.
Yes. And Nina and Jorge, any thing you want to say to the viewers before we round out?
Well, thanks for having us, and it's nice to meet everyone in the chat, and it's nice to see everybody here. And welcome aboard the Nina train. That sounded really horrible. It sounded better in my head. Welcome aboard. And happy to have you. Happy to have you.
Oh, Nina.
Listen to the jams. It's all right. I'm gonna be fine. I'm sober, and this is sober. This is a
Let's hit a meeting. Let's hit a meeting after this.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm talking to my sponsor. I said, "Welcome aboard the Nina train."
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't know what
Yeah,
that's
that can
gonna
be
lead to.
taken
Yeah.
totally wrong way.
I've said that right.
Now let's do
My
OJ's
husband
song.
loves me so much. He hears me say the most random things, and he's so like chill all the time. You want to do this song? Welcome on the train. They're gonna stop the YouTube stream though because we don't have it copywritten.
Right.
I'm doing the OJ's version. People
Right.
all over the world joining on the Nina train.
And that one's probably more
Love
expensive.
train. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that
Right.
It's a more
There you
uplifting.
go. There we go.
Exactly. But everyone, thanks for watching, and we will be leaving you with one final musical piece for today, won't we, Tom?
Say one thing. Yeah. Tonight, Latino Slant, 7 p.m. Pacific. Cinco de Mayo show continues on our channel tonight. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.